And we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Prepping with Denise. This is one of my live shows that I like to do where I am answering your questions and comments about several of the videos that I've posted. But before we get into that, if we're just meeting, I'm Denise Jordan, and I teach traditional homemaking for today's homemaker, and that includes being prepared. So, if you want to learn more about making and keeping it home, hit that subscribe button and double tap that little bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. And like I said, being a homemaker includes being prepared. Okay, so let's get started with the Q&A. I had so many comments about my video where I was cooking off the grid and I was making beef stew. And so many people, well, enjoyed the video, number one. And I was getting my pioneer woman on. I felt like a real pioneer, but I also made a huge error. And one of the things that I was doing is since I was cooking off the grid, I had set up a fire on my patio and I was cooking in a Dutch oven to make this campfire beef stew. And I'm just learning to cook over an open fire. If you've been following me, you know that I am still a novice. I started building my prepper pantry about 6 months ago, and I just started cooking off grid about 2 months ago. So in this particular episode, I built the campfire on my patio, and then I put out some rocks to kind of close it in, and then lit the fire. Well, Simply Carla Jones has joined us. Hey, Carla, it's good to have you with us. And there's Darlene Holler from Georgia is with us as well. Well, this is the first comment that I wanted to address. And this particular comment came from Southern Light 6, and several others made this comment or a similar comment, including Elizabeth Davis and Catherine Richardson. So at least three of them, I recall, made this comment about me and the fire. Southern Light 6 said, don't pour fire starter on the fire. Put it on first. I saw a friend badly burned when the fire came up with a stream of liquid and burned her hands badly. So thank you, Southern Light 6, as well as Elizabeth Davis and Catherine Richardson for bringing this to my attention. And yes, I know that I shouldn't do that. Now, here's the truth. My husband was kind of like coaching me because you guys know I'm just learning how to do this. And this was the first fire that I had lit all by myself. Typically, he lights the fires and then I'll come out and I'll do the cooking. But I said I want to do everything myself this time because I thought I'd watched him do it enough that I could. And I poured the fire starter on the charcoal, but I didn't have it on enough because the fire had started and then it had just like burned down real quick. And it was pretty windy that day too. So I'm thinking maybe the wind just was blowing it out. So I added some more fire starter to the just barely lit fire. And of course it flamed up. Now I was standing with my back to the wind. So the wind was behind me blowing away from me so that it would blow the fire away from me and not towards me. And my husband said, babe, don't stand. Before I got ready to squirt, he was like, babe, don't stand there. Stand on the other side of the fire. So if it flames up, it doesn't come at you. So that is what I did. But you ladies are absolutely right. The best practice is to thoroughly soak the coals before you light the fire and then light the fire. And I thought I had soaked them enough, but I had not. And I used one of those little key things and it started the fire a little bit. Now, my sister was asking me later, she was like, why didn't you use the coals, the charcoal briquettes that already had the fire starter on it? Well, first of all, I didn't know there were charcoal briquettes that already had the fire starter included. So when I bought these briquettes, and it's the Royal Oaks charcoal, I think that's the name of it, Royal Oak charcoal. I'll link it in the description box below. But when I got it in Walmart, and I had gone to get charcoal that day, and I saw a man walking out, and he had a cart full of like 10 bags of this charcoal. So I thought, oh, well, that must be a good kind to buy. So I bought 6 bags of that. So when I got home, my husband was like, what? I said, why? We needed some charcoal so I could practice cooking off grid. So we've got 6 bags of this charcoal. He was like, well, why didn't you get the kind that was already? I'm like, already what? I had no clue. So I'm learning. I'm a novice at this, being a power woman thing. So now let me just go ahead and see who we've got here greeting us. So far, we've got Simply Carla Jones, and she's saying Happy New Year to me and all the best. And then I've got Darlene Harler here from Georgia. And Pam Swing from North Carolina. Hey, Pam, glad to have you with me as well. Crafty Nana 6200, hello to you too. And then Simple Southern Reflections, hello to you as well. And Helene Black, it's good to have you here as well. And let's see, who else is there? So I think I've greeted everyone that's on with us right now. So there you go. So that's how I happened to be squirting the fire starter on the fire. And it looked like I was just squirting it into the fire when actually the fire had kind of pretty much almost died out. And so I was adding more to it. And my camera was acting kind of janky, so I lost some footage at the very beginning. So there we are with that. But again, thank you, Southern Light 6 and Elizabeth Davis and Catherine Richardson for bringing that to my attention. And I do apologize for the bad example that I set for the young homemakers. So again, don't squirt the starter on the fire when it's going. You want to thoroughly saturate your charcoal briquettes first, and then with a fire starter, with your away from the wind, you want to light the fire. So there we go there. So thank you, ladies. I got that. They got that right. Okay, now the second comment came from that same video where I made the campfire beef stew. And this one was by Escape Diva. And she says that she has an old roaster that she uses for an outdoor cooker. So what she does is she takes the bottom of the roaster and she fills it with the charcoal briquettes. She laid a grill on top of that and she cooks on top of that. And then she's got the roaster sitting on top of like 2 little aluminum tables or something like that. And she said it works out just fine for her. So thank you, Tablescape Diva, for bringing that idea with us. And then Sugar Honey Iced Tea has joined us. This is the second time I think that I've seen Sugar Honey Iced Tea. She's wishing me a happy new year. And then my video on freezing whole tomatoes taught her something new. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. All right. So now I got another comment from Linda Hutchinson. And this was on the campfire stew too, where I was in cooking over the open fire. And she said to take best advantage of cooking over a fire pit, get a footed Dutch oven. They have 3 feet on the bottom and a lid on top to hold the embers. And then you can get a tripod that holds the cast iron stew pot over the fire. And then that way you can lift it up and down. Well, let me show you my cast iron pot. I got it right behind me. And it is heavy. So here's my cast iron pot right here. It does not have any feet on it. This is the lid. But I could put embers in the lid if I needed to. I typically cook with it this way, but I did make some Johnny cakes on it or whole cakes on it one time in the top. And I'll have to get that video edited so you guys can see that. But let me sit this behind me. I did buy one that had a handle, one of those long wire handles that you can lift up and down and you can hang it over an open fire by a hook. It was so heavy when I tried to lift it, it was too heavy for me to lift. So I took that back and I got this one. I do like the idea of one with a like with the 3 little feet on them, because then I could just set that right over the fire. Or get some kind of a grate No, I don't know. If I could set that over the fire, but I don't really have any way to lift it up and down. One of the other ladies, and I don't remember the name right now, did suggest being able to rake the coals away from underneath the grill so that it wouldn't be so hot. And the way I had jerry rigged that fire pit up, I couldn't really get in there to rake them away, but that's something I'll try to do next time. So Carla Jones wants to know what brand cast iron pot is the best to use. The only cast iron Dutch oven that I have used is this one. And this is a Lodge cast iron. No, this is a Legend cast iron Dutch oven. And they have a whole line of cast iron ware. There are also people who use the Legend brand cast iron Dutch ovens. So I'm going to type in Lodge is what I have. And I have a cast iron skillet in the same brand. And then there is also the Legend brand. And quite a few people use that one. So Lodge is the kind that I've got, and then there's also the Legend brand that quite a few people use. All right, so let's get that off. And Susan said, this kind that I have is for cooking biscuits. And yes, I've cooked things in the top of that before. Well, only a couple times. So I don't want to try to make it seem like I've done it a lot. I've only done it a couple of times where I've cooked some Johnny cakes in the top of that. And they turned out real nice. But, you know, again, it's a learning experience. I'm learning to be a pioneer woman. All right. And then one other comment that I got from Phenomenally Fly Diva 4 on the same video, she asks, can't off-grid cooking be done on a grill? And her concern was that she can't do the bending and the squatting that I was doing to get down to the fire. And yes, you can. And I have a video where I made apple spice chili on an expert grill. I will link that video below so that you can check that out. But you can do a grill and put the charcoal in the grill, and you can put this cast iron Dutch oven over there. And that was another reason why I wanted to buy this kind of Dutch oven, was because I wanted to be able to use it in my oven. So I can put this one in my oven and, cook anything I want in it. Whereas if it had the feet on it, I don't think I would have been able to use it quite as handily in my oven with the feet on that. And then the other thing in regards to a makeshift grill, in regards to the bending and squatting, you could set up a table or something like that on your patio and then put like, who was it that had the roaster? Like Tablescape Diva, and use an old roasting pan or set up some kind of aluminum pan and then put the charcoals in that and have something that's a little bit higher up. So should your power go out and you need to cook off grid, you could cook that way. And when I say off grid, what I mean is we're not in the house on the stove. That's what I mean when I say off grid. If the grid goes down, meaning the power goes down, and we have ice storms around here quite a bit in the wintertime. I know other areas will have hurricanes and tornadoes and different things like that that knock the power out. And you need to be able to prepare a meal should that happen. What I've not tried doing yet is cooking a meal in the fireplace. That's what I'm going to try next. And I want you guys to know my husband thinks I've lost my mind. But I'm determined to try to sort this out. Especially since I tell my young homemakers, these are some things that you need to be able to do to take care of your family in case the power goes out. I feel like if I'm telling you, you should be able to do it, then I need to be able to figure it out too. And we're pretty old school here. He always set the fires and lit the grills and did all the grilling, and I typically cooked in the house. Well, I'm learning some new skills now. So there we go. So now let me see what I'm missing. So Simply Carla Jones says she's going to search Amazon because she's been searching for a good brand, I believe. I've got a link to my Amazon store in the description box below, Carla. If I don't, I'll put it in there. I was kind of in a hurry when I was getting the description box filled out, but I do have a link to my Amazon store. So you can start out looking at my affiliate link for this one. and go around and look at some others. Midnight and Morning wants to know, do I use air fryers? Well, let me show you what I got. Now, I'm going to move this, so it's going to be kind of jiggly. But see that back there? Just my husband got that for Christmas. I got it for him. He'd been wanting one. He'd been looking at all the commercials. So I got him that for Christmas. But you know, I'm going to be using that. I'm going to figure out how to use it, and then I'm going to be doing video about that. He's cooked several things in it. He's cooked in it at least 4 times. He loves those little gadgets like that. And we've made steak in it. Well, I made steak in it yesterday, and then he's made fish in it 3 or 4 times. And it's really pretty easy to use. So I'm working on getting the unboxing done and then showing you the video where I've cooked in there. So be on the lookout for that. And it was really fun to use. So I'm looking forward to making more things with that. And Susan says, look at Walmart in the camping area. Yes, Walmart has a good camping section. You can find lots of things there. And the prices are reasonable. They're probably comparable to what you might find on Amazon or less, because depending upon where you look on Amazon, things are higher. And Helene says it's time to get one of those bonnets that the pioneer women wear. I tell you what, once I really figure it out, I'm going to do just that. But right now, when I made that fire for the first time by myself, hubby was like hovering. And I'm like, I can do it. So once I get to the point where he doesn't have to hover, then I'm going to get the bonnet. So you just wait and see. So now Susan is saying that the one with the feet, you can set the one with the feet in the fire. You can set it right down in the fire. It'll cook up on all sides of it. But to be able to lift it up and down, now this way too, I was used to, that's another thing. Let me take the lid out of it so it's not quite so heavy. Let me get this off. So I'm also used to lifting pans like this. So it was easier for me with pot holders to lift it like this than that one that had the big wire handle and try to lift it that way. So this just seemed to work out a little bit easier. I'm just going to stick that over there so I have to keep putting it behind me. Oh, hey, Stephanie, how you doing, sis? She says, no, I have not lost my mind. Well, my husband might disagree with you on that one. Let's see what else. So Susan also talks about a rocket stove. And a rocket stove is one of those little stoves that you kind of make outside over an open fire. I've not tried that. I've only done the one that you've seen. So I've taken a grill, and I set that up. Well, the hubby set it up, and then I put the Dutch oven and cooked on that. And then I've taken a oil pan and put coals in that, and I've cooked over that. So that's what I've been doing, trying to come up with makeshift fires, because my thought was, if the power goes out, you got to work with what you have at home, particularly if you don't want to have to leave the house and go look for something. So that's why I've been trying to do kind of makeshift things so that my young homemakers can use things that they may have around their house, around their houses, I should say. So Darlene says they like to make chicken wings in their air fryer. Funny thing you said that, because my husband said yesterday, do we have any chicken wings? I'm like, I don't think we do, because I don't normally buy those. I buy chicken breasts, chicken thighs, and chicken legs for different things, but I rarely buy wings. And when I put in my grocery order yesterday, I didn't think to put in the wings on the list, but I will. And for the mother load, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you. He or she is saying that she loves my channel, so I appreciate that. Ha. Somebody said old school. I guess Lorna 865 said old school is the best. Well, that just happens to be the way we are. And we grew up during the time where there was pretty much quite a bit of a separation between what the different genders did. And so like we watched our parents and then we kind of emulated some of the things that they did. But of course we found our own way and then we kind of um, collaborated together on some things. And then there was a time when I stayed home with the kids and he worked when the kids were little, but we still are pretty much old school. He does anything that requires a nail and a hammer. He typically does that, but I've been learning to do some of that kind of DIY stuff as well. Helene said she's going to hold me to it. She wants to see that bonnet. I might have to make one because I don't know where you can find one to buy, but I'm going to get me a bonnet. You just wait. So Sugar Honey Tea says, she said to Google Stansport cast iron camping tripod for outdoor campfire cooking. The display is using the cast iron Dutch oven that I have, and it's $34. Okay, I'll look for that because I was thinking that, oh, if I had like a little tripod that I could sit over the fire, then I could set the Dutch oven on top of that. Gotcha. Okay, I'll look for that. Thank you. So Lisa said she's been enjoying the series. I tell you what, Lisa, I have too. I've been having a lot of fun with this series. And I've got several other videos that I've done outside. I just have to edit them. I just can't keep up with the editing. I seem to be in slow motion right now for some reason. Okay, so let me see what was the next question. So there was that one. All right. And then one of the other questions that I have, and this has to do with this particular Dutch oven, and this one is by C. Reinecke, and it had to do with how we cleaned it. So when I did the unboxing of my cast iron Dutch oven, and I will link that video below so that you can check it out if you choose to, but I showed the unboxing when I got it, and then how to clean it and season it. And her question was, I thought we should never use soap on cast iron, just to season it with coarse salt and oil and just wipe. And so I disagreed with her just a little bit, and just in saying that according to the instructions in this little booklet that came with the skillet, this is what it said to do. So that was why I did it that way on the video, because this is what it told me to do. So step one is to wash it and dry it. And it said before you use it for the first time, scrub it with warm soapy water and dry it thoroughly. And you could even like place it over a flame to make sure there's no residual moisture. And so I washed it with soap and water, dried it thoroughly, wiped it out real good with a dish towel. And then you rub the entire surface with inside and out, including the handles, with cooking oil, and any oil or fat will do. So for my cast iron skillet, a lot of times I would use like Crisco shortening, because that's what I would have out when I was making cornbread or something, or I'll use like Crisco oil or canola oil or something like that. And then when I did it, I poured the oil in, and then I rubbed it all around with my hand, and then I took a flour sack towel and rubbed it all the way around inside and out to dry it really well. And then I set it in the oven and let it bake for 30 minutes. And I think when you put it in there, you turn your oven up to 450 degrees. So you put the oiled cookware in your 450-degree oven and you let it sit in there for 30 minutes. And it might smoke just a little bit, but that's just kind of burning off the oil. So now one person responded and said they typically turn theirs upside down. Well, I did notice I missed that line where it said turn it upside down so that if you have any oil in there, it'll drip out. And you put like a oven liner or parchment paper or something like that at the bottom. But I didn't have any oil in there to drip out because I have thoroughly buffed it inside and out with a towel. And then you season it like that for 30 minutes. You take it out and then you rinse it off. And then they want you to season it like that again. So rinse it off, and then you kind of repeat the oiling and buffing. And they say the buffing is really important so you don't have any oil that can be sitting in there or causing flakes or anything like that. And that will season the pot. One of my ladies, and I can't remember the name right now, said she was trying to find a cast iron Dutch oven that was not pre-seasoned. And when I got this one, it was pre-seasoned, but not very much. They want you to actually layer it more yourself. And she was wondering, and I have her card here. Let me find it. I have her card here somewhere. And I don't know where I put it. I must have gotten it out of order or I don't see it. But her question was about if her pot was old or if it had some rust on it, how could you take care of that? And according to this booklet here, if your pot is starting to get your Dutch oven, your cast iron is getting a little rusty, wash it really well with cast iron. You can wash it with steel wool, or you could also put in some coarse salt, scrub it real well with the coarse salt, rubbing all that off, because what you're trying to do is get off any flaking, any rust, that kind of thing. And once you get all that layer off that you can, then you would dry it really well. And then once it's dried, again, set it in the oven to dry it if you need to. And then once it's dried, oil it, and then buff it up really well, and then season it again. And you might need to season it for a couple of times to get it to where you want it to be. But it says that you can bring it back to almost new. So to stop the flaking in its tracks, use coarse salt or sandpaper to remove, I said steel wool, I meant sandpaper. To stop the flaking in its tracks, use coarse salt or sandpaper to remove any offending layer and any visible loose flaking pieces of seasoning. And so after you season it, after you bring it home the first time and you wash it with soap and water, after that time, then when you wash it, you just wash it, rinse it out with plain water and use coarse salt and rub that around in there to get out any food particles. From what I read, sometimes the soap might be able to be absorbed a little bit. So I don't know. So there's that. So now let's see. So Darlene says they use a tripod when they go camping. And chat name wants to know, does anyone have a recommendation for indoor cooking should there be prolonged electricity outage? The only thing that I could think of for prolonged indoor cooking would be if you have a fireplace and you're able to use a Dutch oven over the fireplace. Those little propane gas grills and things like that are not recommended to be used indoors. You're supposed to use those outdoors. So again, those little small propane gas stoves are not recommended to be used indoors. And even those little rocket stoves, I don't think those are recommended to be used inside. If there are some, I'm not aware of them. Then Hennessy wants to know, what are my prepping suggestions? And then I've got a video where I have started my 3-month prepper pantry when I was beginning my journey. You can check that one out. But in general, when you're beginning to build a 3-month prepper pantry, and I tend to focus more on food, my husband looks into the other things like flashlights and batteries and those little fire starter things and the generators. He takes care of that kind of thing. And you should have a generator for in case the power goes out. We had a really bad ice storm a few years back. Well, it's been more than a few years because my dad was still here then. And power was out in the city for almost a week, 2 weeks. But we had power, but my folks didn't have power. So I had to go and bring them over here. And they were elderly at the time so that they could have heat. And then after a while, after about a week, our power went out. So then my husband got a generator from one of his brothers and hooked it up. And we were able to hook it up to the refrigerator, the freezer, and a lamp. But as far as heating, we lit the fireplace, and then we lit a fire in the fireplace, and I just got out a bunch of blankets to kind of pile around it. And I was thinking, oh my God, my parents are older. What are we going to do? But it was only out for a couple of days at our house. But some of the other people in town had the power out for 2 weeks. So there's that. So then so if you can get a generator, get one. Extra blankets and things like that. You want to have about a gallon of water for every individual per day. So if you've got 5 people in your house, 5 gallons of water per day, depending upon how long you're trying to plan for. And then as far as foodstuffs, you want to have things that you can store for long periods of time because you never know when the power is going to go out. But some canned meats and canned foods that you can just open and cook. I've got quite a few brands of canned meat, like, and some things like, canned chilies and different things like that. I didn't bring a bunch of those out here because I wasn't thinking we would talk about that. Let me grab a quick sip. And what you guys sipping on? I forgot to ask. If I get to talking too long, my throat gets dry. If you're looking at long-term storage, things like rice, beans, peanut butter, sweeteners like sugar and honey, you want to have things like flour so that you can make bread, that kind of thing. And I listen to the Alaska Prepper quite a bit. He bakes bread. So, and he shows how to do that and how to can and do some other things. So he's pretty cool. Let's see what else. Beverages and snacks. And so since you're asking me about those suggestions, let me just mention this. I wasn't going to talk about this now. I was going to talk about it at the end, but I ordered a grocery haul yesterday and I hadn't bought groceries since December 17th. So when I ordered groceries yesterday, it was a huge haul and I am going to do a video and share that with you guys, hopefully tomorrow or the next day. But we have been using out of our preps, we've been using things, and then some of the fresh things were being used up, and then our snacks, our goodies were being used up. So what were some of the things that we were missing? And so and when I let you know that, this will also clue you as to what are some of the preps you should get. So my husband was missing his snacks. He would be looking around the house. He would look in the pantry. He would look in the extended pantry. He was looking in the fridge. He was forced to eat apples and oranges because all the other snacky kind of foods were gone. He's like, do we have any chips? And I pulled out this little basket that I keep the chips in, and we had a half a bag of chips that had fallen behind that. And I knew they were in there. So I got that out. He's like, oh, thank you. And I didn't feel like making a pie or anything like that because I knew I'd be ordering groceries in the next day or two. So I thought, we're just going to ride this out. But we were missing snacks. So chips, popcorn. I was missing candy bars. I just wanted a Milky Way, a Snickers bar. I have a Hershey's chocolate bar. And it's one of the big kind, one of the big, here, let me grab it. I'll show it to you because I just want to show it to you. Hang on for a second. I won't be like out of range. So let me just grab it. You guys can still see me and hear me talk. So I'm not breaking protocol too much by leaving the. So I've got this big Hershey bar. And these are the kind that are meant for sharing. And for you young ones out there, whenever you got a Hershey chocolate bar, you always shared it with whoever you were with. So you can kind of see the different little pieces on there. So whenever you get a Hershey bar, you are expected to just, you break off a piece for yourself and you offer the package to someone else so they can have some. Well, this is just plain chocolate, milk chocolate, nuts, that kind of thing. I want a Snickers, Milky Way, just something like that. And we didn't have any. So I opened this one up. And I only have 3 of those on my preps, but I opened that up and got to eating that. Also pie and ice cream. I had ordered 2 gallons of ice cream on the last order, but they were gone. So there's that. We were also out of bread. So now we had biscuits, and I had some biscuits, canned biscuits in the fridge. So we used some of those. I just didn't feel like making biscuits because I kept thinking, I'm going to order groceries in a couple of days. So we had canned biscuits, canned cinnamon rolls, and I also had English muffins. So we had dinner the other day, and I gave him English muffin for bread instead of like regular old sliced bread. It worked. It worked. And like I said, I'm ordering groceries tomorrow, and I didn't want to send him out just for that. We're trying to order our groceries in so that we're not going out during this pandemic. So that's what we were really missing. So then when you think about my prepping suggestions, in addition to those basic necessities like foods that you can eat out of a can, like chili and soups and ditching more beef stews, and you can buy cans of ground beef and all those kinds of things. You can either eat them straight out of the can, or you can cook them over one of those little rocket stoves or on a grill or something like that. But don't forget to get things like, bottles of lemonade. They can be individual sizes, so you don't have to worry about refrigerating them. Bottles of juices and fresh fruits and things like that, so that you've got things to just kind of spice up your meal so you don't end up with food fatigue. And that's a real thing. So I was just thinking, I was starting to get bored with what we had, and it was only a month, and I could literally go out and buy more if I wanted to, but I was really trying to just kind of stick with what we had. So there's that. Okay, thank you for that question. That was a great question. Okay, let's see. I think I'm missing something. Okay. Okay, so chat name, whoever that is, they're not showing their name. I have to wonder, is that the name of your channel, or you just don't want us to know who you are? Anyway, chat name says washing cast iron with steel wool, like a Brillo pad, first out of the box is a really good plan. Dry it with a kitchen towel, then place it on the top of the stove to fully dry it, then oil and season the process. And in this book, it did talk about to place it on top of the stove to dry it fully after you dry it with the kitchen towel. But I try not to use this on top of my stove because I've got a glass top stove, and these puppies will scratch up your glass top stoves. So I tried not to do that. So I just made sure it was really dry, and then I oiled it and all that kind of thing. But thank you. You are absolutely correct. That is exactly what it says to do in this book. Now, Carla Jones said you could try Ajax, leave it on for a few minutes, and then scrub it. I don't know about the Ajax, Carla, simply because I don't know if that's going to harm the finish or if it might be absorbed somehow. This booklet didn't say anything about using any kind of harsh chemicals. It just said to use coarse salt, like those large grains of kosher salt, and rub it that way. Let me see if it says anything else about that, because I don't want to give misinformation, and I haven't researched anything other than what's in this book. It doesn't say, it just says scour it. Oh, okay. Here you go, Carla. For reseasoning. So it's been seasoned already, and maybe it's flaking or there's some other problems. It says if your cookware becomes dull from disuse or gets rusty from exposure to moisture, you can reseason your cookware and it'll be good as new. Just scour it clean with any method you prefer. No need to worry about damaging the seasoning, which you will strip off in any event, and then repeat the steps in 2 through 5, which those steps were to rub it with the oil, to buffet it, then to heat it and set it, and then to repeat that. So, okay, so there we go. Oh, chat name, yes. Now, the mini propane and similar stoves, not inside the house, not inside the house, not inside the house. And when I was talking about that in one of my other videos, my husband was going like, oh, we could do it in the garage. I'm like, no, the people that manufacture these stoves says do not use them in the garage. Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. We do it. I'm like, no, it says do it outside. I'm not trying to blow myself up. So outside. Okay. Okay. Hey, Michelle at My Everyday Wife Life. Good to have you here. Hey, Kadiga at Her Healthy Home. Guys, you've got to check out Michelle's channel at My Everyday Wife Life. She's doing her decluttering series, and her channel is so much fun. And then Kadiga at Her Healthy Home also has a beautiful channel. She has a little homestead, and she's got 2 little ones, and she's just doing all kinds of stuff on there. Some of the stuff she's doing, I need to be doing, but for some reason, I just don't have the energy to stay up on top of my videos, but I'm working at it. Okay, let's see. Get that off. So Sue thinks maybe the Sternal stoves could be used indoors. Sue, I don't know. There are Sternal stands and ovens in the camping supply areas of most stores. I know Walmart has that kind of stuff. Tractor Supply, Lowe's, Menards, all those kind of places can. So try looking for some of those kind of things there. Let's see. I missed somebody. Oh, okay. So chat name is going to look for some Sternal accessories, and like she suggested, and that's the nice thing about this community. We are so helpful. Some of the very best ideas from right here in the TNT community. So if you're not already a family member, please subscribe. I would love to have you be a member of the TNT community, where I talk about homemaking, cooking, cleaning, laundry, and a little bit about prepping as I learn and navigate this prepping journey. Okay. Ha! Michelle is talking about how she loves Hershey bars. I do too. Let's see. So Odessa Hall Menifee. You know, we have some Menifees that live down the street from us, Odessa. The guy's name is Dean and his wife's name is Camilla. So, hi, Miss Denise, love your channel. I want to ask, how is your Curtis Stone cookware holding up? She's thinking about purchasing a set from HSN. They're doing great. I've had mine about 2 years, I think. And I got mine on HSN a couple of years ago. But so you can consider doing that. And I think I've got my Curtis Stone cookware linked in my description box too, because you can also get some of it on Amazon, depending upon which set or which piece it is. When I got mine, I got the 13-piece cookware set, and that was not available anymore. Most of the ones today are the 10-piece, but I really like it. The one I like best is their multi-dura diamond pan, which I can put in the oven and cook in the oven, or I can cook it on top of the stove. And I got mine when my sister had gotten hers, and she loved it, so then I bought some. And then one of my subscribers bought some, and she liked it. You're supposed to be able to whisk in them with a wire whisker. You can, fry, saute, and that kind of thing. I try not to whisk in mine with the wire whisker. I'm just so old school that I remember when you weren't supposed to use metal utensils in, Teflon kind of pots. So I try not to do that, but you can use metal utensils in your Curtis Stone cookware. So I think you would be well pleased if you got them, Odessa. I'm enjoying mine. I did an unboxing when I got them, and I know it's not linked below because I haven't even looked at that in a while, but it's great cookware to use on a glass top stove because it does not scratch up your cooktop, which is one of the reasons why I got it. When I got this new stove, I wanted it to look new as long as I could keep it that way. And I didn't want it to be all scratched up and have those nasty white or dark rings on it that I've seen in so many other glass cooktop stoves. So that's why I got the Curtis Stone cookware. I had bought a new set of cookware and realized right away it was scratching up the top. So I gave it away to a sister and I ordered the Curtis Stone. Oh, chat name. Thank you. Your name is Libby. That's one of the things we typically on the TNT community, we typically know each other's names. So I have to remember that your name is Libby. So chat name is Libby. So welcome to the TNT community. So ladies, welcome chat name because this is the first time. Welcome Libby. This is the first time she's joined us. So I'm glad to have you here. So Michelle said she uses her iron skillet on her glass top stove all the time. Well, I don't let my husband use his anymore on my glass top stove because the first few times he did, I see a scratch mark. Then another time I see another scratch mark. So I said, nope, nope, nope. No more cast iron skillets on this cooktop. So now let me tell you what the man did. So I put them out in the garage so he couldn't use them in the house. And I bought one of those little small, I don't know, those little small cooktop things that you put on the counter. He said it didn't keep the skillet hot enough. So I got all those other skillets that he could use, and he found one that he liked. So one day I come home, he has given our three cast iron skillets away. He was putting out the trash, and he was setting them up on top of the garbage pan when a lady driving down the street stopped and said, are you throwing those away? And he said, yes. She said, well, can I have them? He gave her my 3 cast iron skillets. One of them was a chicken fryer. So it was one of those real like deep ones. And then a small, like maybe 10-inch, 8-inch one. And then a 10-inch one. I was like, you did what? He said, well, she was real happy to get them. I said, I guess she was. I fussed him for the longest time. And every now and then I would remind him. So one day he came home with a brand new 12-inch cast iron skillet. He said, well, this get me out of the doghouse. I said, okay, dear. But yeah, I just don't like using those because, you know, I'm just really picky about that stove. So Gail Luker said, hey, Gail, and I think I've seen you before. You said having a jar full of Hershey's in her cabinet was her childhood dream, and she still doesn't have it. Girl, you can fix that today. You can order in some Hershey's Kisses or a whole box of Hershey's bars. Yes, you can simply do that. Okay, let's see. Where are we? So Odessa says oven cleaner will clean cast iron or 50-50 water and vinegar mixture. There are several YouTube channels that tell you how to properly clean cast iron. Yeah, you can try some of those things as well. I just follow what it says here in this book. I just wash it. Now I just wash it out. You know, I'll scrub it out with like a little scrubber. And then I've got some coarse salt if I need to use that. And then after every use, after I'm done washing it, I dry it up really well. I add the oil and then I buff it really dry and then I put it away. So yeah, so I follow these directions, but yeah, you're right. There's several YouTube channels that do give you more information about how to do that. And Ariel Astadio says, hello. Hi, Ariel. Or Areli, sorry. You're new to our channel as well. So ladies, say hello to, and gents, I'm sure there's some gents out there too. Say hello to Areli. She's visiting us for the first time. Let's see. Oh, Areli says she loves my channel. Thank you. This is the first time you've left me a comment, is it not? But I'm glad you love my channel and I'm glad you're there. Whether you left a comment or not, I so appreciate you guys for coming to stopping by to visit. I really do. Okay. So Jeanette Schul says the preppers do bring up indoor stoves and heaters. Yeah, they do. I've not done that research for myself yet. She wants to say it's butane-based fuels and candles can be used indoors. Check it out yourself, though. There's this one little like you know those little small pots. They're almost little small aluminum pots. They almost look like a measuring cup, but they're bigger. They maybe hold maybe a cup or 2 cups. You could probably heat one of those over one of those little wax candle warmers or those little, you know, those little butane pots. They're about this big around, about this thick, and you put them underneath those um, catering aluminum foil pans. You know, like you can put those little butane candle like things under those and heat things with them. But as far as like really cooking something, I've not checked that part out yet. So Jeanette, I will, because as you know, I'm still fairly new at some of this and I'm just sharing what I've learned. I am not pretending to be an expert by any means. Okay, but I will check that out. So Michelle bought one of the copper ceramic pans nonstick. Okay. I like those copper ceramic pans. I don't have one, but I've seen a couple people who do, and I like the looks of them. So Sue's going to check out the Sternal plans, the kind they use inside banquets. So I'm thinking it may be possible to use them for cooking because they can get really hot. Okay. Okay, and you know, that's really not something I thought to really check into very much before. So now that you guys are asking about this, then I know that that's something that my viewers want to know about. So I'll have to learn about it so that I can share whatever I learn. Oh, you're welcome about the cookware. Uh, Chafing dish. That's what they're called. Those little chafing dishes. So you brought a canned heater today for the chafing dishes. Yeah, that's what they're called. Those chafing dishes that they use for banquets and catering and that kind of thing. Okay. Uh, oh, wait a minute. Looks like Libby jumped back in with her name. Okay, hang on a second. I'm missing something. Got that. Got that one. So everybody's welcoming Libby. And then, oh, so here's Libby. She's jumped back in again. And I guess she was the one that had the chat name, but now she's got her name on there. And Libby, you know, you don't have to have your whole name on there. If you don't want to, you could just put Libby. But she said this is the first time she's ever commented on YouTube, so she wasn't sure what name to use. Here on the TNT community, we're a lot of times, you know, we're on together so much that we kind of know what each other's names are. We certainly know what most of our first names are, and I try to remember them, and I do pretty good sometimes, and then sometimes I get mixed up, especially if we've got 2 or 3 Cheryls. Sometimes I mix those up. But welcome, Livy. It's good to have you with us. So yeah. Yarn Prepper said, hey, Yarn Prepper, good to have you with me today. She said, let's see, she said, wait, not there. That old man, he'd be in trouble. Yeah, she's talking about when my husband gave away those cast iron skillets. I could not believe it. I'm like, seriously? So I really like using cast iron in the oven, particularly when I'm making skillet cornbread. If I'm roasting a chicken, it's the very best to do that with. I've not seen that, Jeanette, but you know what? I'm going to look into it. If there's something like that, that'd be great. So Yarn Prepper says she uses a chainmail scrubber with Dollar Tree kosher salt. I've seen those chainmail scrubbers. It was, I don't know. I don't know if I saw it on a video, but I've seen one of those just recently. So yeah, a chainmail scrubber, and you can use that to get out any flakes or anything. And then also using that kosher salt, it just kind of really helps to lift up any flakes. So good. And then let's see, Tessa F55. Hey, Tessa. Ladies, welcome Tessa. She's new here too. Let's see. Yeah, he gave away my pots. Hey, Lou Ann. Oh my goodness. How are you doing? I have missed you. How are you doing? I'm still doing okay. I'm hanging in there, and I'm glad to see that you popped on. Yes, I'm glad you popped on. I'm talking about prepping stuff. I'm learning how to do that. I'm sharing that information with my homemakers, and I'm going through cards. So I need to kind of get back to what I'm doing. I've been chatting for a minute. What about breathing the fumes? I'm not sure what fumes you're talking. Oh, you're thinking about fumes from those chafing dishes. You're not supposed to. They shouldn't put out that many fumes that you should have a problem with that. I mean, they use them in catering all the time, but those other propane gas stoves and things like that, you're supposed to use outside. I'm not aware of any other ones that you use inside, except those little butane candles that go underneath the chafing dishes. So that's all that I'm aware of. But a few of the people here that do more camping than I do know a little bit more about that, and they've dropped in their information. Jeanette said she stay away from oven cleaner. She's against harsh chemicals. She likes more natural chemicals, and you don't have to worry about the residue. That makes sense, Jeanette. So Stephanie says create a microenvironment in the house by pitching a tent. Fill the tub and tents with hot water around the clock to keep the pipes warm. Yes, honey, he gave away the chicken fryer. That's a good idea, a microenvironment in the house by pitching a tent. Now, the thing about that microenvironment in the house, when it gets really cold, like I'm in Indiana, when it gets cold here, it gets cold. And when the temperature outside drops, you can feel it in the house. And it's like all of a sudden it starts to get chillier. And when the power went out in our house and I could feel the temperature dropping. And I was thinking about my folks. They were sitting there on the sofa and I had them all bundled up. I just thought, oh my God, my parents are going to freeze to death. And I ran upstairs and I got more blankets and things and I brought those down and I was, patting them all around with the blankets. But you know what, though? My husband always takes care of everything and he totally got everything under control. So we were fine. But that makes sense, a little tent, and then you can kind of keep the heat in one small central space. So that makes sense. So Michelle's talking about breathing fumes from a butane stove. I'm not talking about a butane stove. I'm just talking about those little candles are like are half the size of this. Those little candles that you put under the chafing dishes. Those are the only ones that I know about. I don't know about a butane stove, so that requires investigation that I have not yet done. A few other people have mentioned those, but I'm not up to date on those. So Tessa says the copper pans like the ones Michelle just got are great, and it's great on her glass top, so that's good. And then Yarn Prepper said her sister found cast iron pans in the dumpster at the campground. Hey, somebody else got theirs thrown away too. So Ty D said, first time to comment. Well, hi, Ty. I'm glad that you are commenting. Love your videos. Just wanted to say I purchased the folding Sternal stove and canned fuel suggested by Peggy and Don. I was on Peggy and Don's channel once, and they did talk about a folding Sternal stove, but I don't think you're supposed to use it inside. So just check that out. Just check that out. But yeah, Don did recommend a Sternal stove. Okay, let me get back to the cards because we're chatting away and I didn't mean to do that as much. So we've kind of addressed this one, but the Blackest Beauty said she has her mom's Dutch oven and it's rusting and wanted to know how it could be cleaned and if the rusty surface can be, like reseasoned. Well, we've just addressed that, so I don't need to address that one. And now this particular comment came from my video, the top 20 preps for 2020. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get this one. So Sugar Honey Iced Tea said, don't forget to add Hot Hands hand warmer packs to your prepping stash. Dollar Tree sells those. And yes, it would have been great if I would have had some of those because I could have tucked those in around my folks and they would have been, warmer. But luckily, my husband sorted it out and we didn't get into dire straits. But yes, those little hand warming thingies would be nice. And you can get those at Dollar Tree. All right. So my top 20 preps for 2020, and I will link that video below so you guys can check that out should you so desire. This question came from Bradford Homestead, and it was about the whole milk powder. She says that with the whole milk powder, because I had said that, it worked, it made up beautifully, and I use it in cooking and that kind of thing, but I just wasn't real thrilled with how it might taste, but if you chilled it, it would be more palatable. And she says you can also make that whole milk powder, that you can find the whole milk powder in the Hispanic foods aisle, and it's called Nido Fortificado. So that you can find that brand over there. So if you're looking for whole milk powder and you can't find it over on the baking aisle with the powdered milk and that kind of thing, look in the Hispanic foods aisle for the Nido Fortificado, and she said it's great. And then Susan 529 said that she stocks up on the whole milk powder, but she doesn't like the soy content, but it's a good prep to have. So that's something else that then you might want to have then is like whole milk powder and those kinds of things so that you can have milk for your family or purchase shelf-stable milk, which I've got several cartons of that. And then Susan Darling said she had been talking about, I have been talking about the no sour cream. And so she suggested pouring 1 spoon of vinegar into that can of crema. So remember I had showed you guys the crema. It was in like little 8-ounce cans. It was a cream that I got in the Hispanic foods aisle. It's called table cream. And this is what it looks like. It's pretty thick. See that? It's pretty thick. And the reason, you see how it's barely dripping down the side there. And the reason why I have this out is I made a dish yesterday and have any. And so I used that in place of it, and it worked out beautifully. But she said you can make sour cream by adding a tablespoon of vinegar to 1 can of crema, and then you've got sour cream. So I just wanted to share that. And then Kathy Young from the Top 20 Preps, we were talking about the powdered milk and not liking and it not being the best tasting. And she said what she does is she mixes powdered milk with a can of condensed milk, and that makes it more drinkable. So I really appreciate that suggestion. So there's that. So we've got some more questions about the keeping warm. So Stephanie Tucker said she bought some hot water bottles like her grandma used to have years ago, and they also help keep the pets warm. So yeah, they can curl up around the hot water bottle, and that would be helpful. And then Tessa wanted to know, could you use a Sternal stove in the fireplace with the flue open? Don't know. I don't know. There's other people on here that can respond to that. And let me just try to Google it real quick, since we're asking about that, because I've not used those. And like I said, I'm fairly new to some of this. That's not what I want. Sternal stove inside house. Let's see what it says. Okay. I know what. I didn't do it right. I'll put in, can you use a Sternal stove? A Sternal stove in the house. Well, they've got one here for, can you use a Sternal stove in the kitchen? Now, that populated, but it's saying there's no results found. So I don't know. So Sam's Club has a great price on Neato online, so you guys can check that out. Oh, Miss Pollard says, hi, Miss Denise, I love your hair. I got it done. I got a new perm today, so I just got it done today. So you guys are catching it fresh. Hi, Stephanie says, anybody have experience cooking with powdered eggs? Well, let me just show you. Hang on a second. I'm going to run it this way, and you guys can probably still see me a little bit, because you're not supposed to leave the screen, and that's not it. You're not supposed to leave the screen when you're doing a live stream. You're not supposed to leave the screen when you're doing a live stream. So that's why I kept talking, so you could hear my voice. I have used these whole dried powdered eggs, and they are by Judy's gluten-free, and they're made in, the USA. And now powdered eggs are going to be gluten-free anyway. So, but anyway, I have used them several times. I've used them in baking. They work out beautifully. I use them in macaroni and cheese because my baked macaroni and cheese requires eggs. And I was making it one day and it needed 4 eggs. This particular dish, I had 1 egg, so I used the powdered eggs. They're made up beautifully there. I've used them to make an omelet. That wasn't the best result, the omelet. Now, it turned out okay. It was editable. The hubby ate it, I ate it, and we enjoyed the breakfast, but did it replace regular eggs for the omelet? No. The thing that I found with these is that they don't whip and fluff up like regular eggs do. I've not scrambled them yet, but I plan to try that. I even added some pancake batter to it, and so they fluffed up a little bit more. And I did my usual thing. I added like cheese and peppers and those kind of things, and the omelet was okay. So I have used these several times, corn muffins and all that kind of stuff, and the powdered eggs worked well. But for scrambled eggs, not tried that yet. Omelets, they worked out okay. Oh, hi, Laura. Oh, Laura. Oh, I am so glad to hear from you. I've been wondering how you were doing. I have wondered about you so many times. I'm going to see if I still have your phone number. If I still got it in my phone book somewhere, I'm going to call you. It's so nice to know you're doing well. Let's see. So Jeanette says, Tessa, you really have to be careful with carbon monoxide, not recommended. Do your own research. And I think Tessa was asking about if you could use that in the fireplace with the flue open. And from what I've seen from the manufacturing instructions, they say use that stuff outside, so you really have to be careful. So I encourage you, use that stuff outside. And I know the concern is because one of my diehard preppers had jumped on one of my videos and said, what if you don't want people to know you're cooking? So as if it was in a really dire situation and food is short, and you're cooking outside on the patio and other people can smell it and they might come and ask for some. I don't know how to answer that, at least not yet. I don't know how to answer that. But I really, as a healthcare professional, I really try to provide accurate, science-based information. And if it says, if it says in here, don't use that in the house, then I don't use that in the house. That's why the hubby said, oh, we can use it in the house. I'm like, no, it says outside. So he gets a little frustrated with me sometimes in that regards, but yeah. So do your own research and just kind of double check, because, none of us here are experts. We're kind of going on our own experience or things that we've been able to research ourselves. So Tidy says, as a safety precaution, the Sternal folding stove does mention for outdoor use only. And I've said that. And I think I mentioned that to Don when I saw that. So, but I'm a stickler. Men sometimes tend to go more on what they have experienced, because they have different sets of experiences many times than we do. They try different kinds of equipment and stuff like that than we do. I'm pretty much by the book, so that's all I can say. Okay, all right, enough said. Mimi 42, how are you? It's good to have you with us. It's been a while since we've seen you. Good to have you join us. Okay, next question. Anna Laster, one of the questions that I asked on my top 20 preps was, what were your favorite preps for 2020? And Anna Laster said her favorite prep of 2020 was ghee. And I'll type that in. And it is some kind of like a butter, but it's been, I can't think of the word for it, but it's some kind of butter, and the butter components has been extracted out. You don't have to refrigerate it, I don't think, that kind of thing. But it's like the butter's been reduced down to its most natural form. You can buy it in a jar, that kind of thing. You can make your own. But she said that's her favorite prep. She said it is expensive to buy, so she's learned how to make her own. I've not yet tried ghee, but my sister does. She uses it all the time, but I will. And then on the top 20 preps, Belva Delitovich says that she recommended to be sure to stock up on chocolate chips in different sizes. She said mini chips, semi-sweet chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, chocolate chunks. She said she saves them in glass jars. And she uses them for candy making, for cooking, breads, desserts, hot cereal, frosting as well. They also sell peanut butter chips, butterscotch chips, peppermint chips, and others. So baking chips as well. So harking back to the question Vin asked about what some preps to pick up, don't forget those snacks and those things that can help you with baking to kind of make some goodies for your home. So there's that. Clarified butter, that's what it is. Ghee is clarified butter. Thank you. It's not something that I've used, but my sister swears by it. But it's clarified butter. And yeah, several people helped me out there. Clarified butter. Clarified butter. So Jeanette's just reminding everyone that fuels, several different types of fuels come in cans. So we need to do our research on that. So yep, there's ghee. So now Luann says you can find ghee reasonably priced at Aldi. I've not purchased any yet, but I'll put that on my list. So Stephanie says there's a YouTube creator called Two Sleevers who has a great ghee tutorial. She tried it and it was easy. So we should all consider trying that. Trying to make our own and see what's what. And Nestle makes espresso chips. They're a must-have. Well, Nestle, Nestle makes the very best chocolate. So Tessa says apparently there are a variety of canned heat that can be used for indoors. I'm just not familiar with them. So we just need to find out which ones can be used indoors. So cool. Thank you for that, Tessa. So the milk solids have been removed from ghee. That's it. So it's clarified butter. The milk solids have been removed. So so people use it. I'm not. So Ben says one of his favorite preps is to put crushed garlic in the olive oil. Oh, that makes garlic oil. Yeah, that would be really nice, especially sop it up with a little bread. And then coconut oil can be a nice alternative to butter. Coconut oil, I think, has its own very light flavor. It's also very healthy for you. Okay, so there is that one. So now Jeanette Schul, and I think Jeanette is on with us today. Is she not? I think I saw Jeanette on here earlier. Yeah, Jeanette, I've got one of your comments for my top 20 preps. You said frequent visitors, and she's one of my frequent visitors, and she said her favorite or her hostess with the mostest is tea. She likes to offer, because tea can offer care and comfort and hospitality. She said she has at least 20 different varieties of tea: plain black tea, green tea, peppermint tea, jasmine tea, and some teas for regular drinking and some teas for healing when someone might be a little ill or something like that. So she said her favorite preps were tea. So when you're looking at beverages, I also agree with that, Jeanette, is that you want to, and let me see, where's her name? It was on there. This is the Jeanette that I'm talking about. So her favorite preps is tea, and different kinds of tea. And I encourage you to have many different kinds. And I've got like some that I buy the Yogi blend quite a bit. So stomach ease, and the tea for, bedtime sleeping, and tea for digestive support or sore throat and all kinds of stuff. So tea is something that you definitely want to have a lot of. Okay. So, and sometimes tea can just be so comforting, especially if it's cold outside. Sometimes I like to just sit with a cup of tea in my hand. I might put it to my face like that, and it just kind of helps to warm you up just a little bit. So I would certainly encourage that. And then Slenda and Steph says that she hasn't prepped before this year, but she's stocked up on tuna in the pouch. And I've done that as well. I just started prepping in, I think, around June or July. So I stocked up on tuna in the pouch, as well as canned tuna, chicken in the pouch, as well as canned chicken breast. And then the Grable Country Meats has some really great canned meat products: canned pork, canned beef, canned turkey, canned chicken. You can buy a can of chicken that has a whole chicken in the can, and it is delicious. I made a chicken noodle soup with it, and I made it outside, but I still got to get that video edited. So there's that. So yes, Laura, do that. And then Michelle says, yeah, the idea of the garlic in the oil is pretty good. So yeah, that's a good idea. Garlic is supposed to be so helpful. Oh, and you know what? Now, this is funny. I have another comment from Jeanette Schul off the same video, but I thought it was important enough to share. She said she got this idea from someone else, but you take a large Ziploc bag and put all the pantry items needed to make a particular dish in the bag, and then put the recipe on the bag in case someone else needed to do it. And so I did that just to kind of see what it would look like. And so let's say for this chili one, so I put in the different cans, the different preps that I would need to make the chili, the black beans, the tomatoes, and the chili beans, tomatoes, and black beans. And then also the seasoning packet in the back. So I've got the chili seasoning mix back there. And then if there were other things that needed to go in there, you could put it all in the bag, label it, and just put a little note in there as to how to go about doing that. I thought that was such a good idea. And she also, so yeah, I thought that was such a good idea. So there's that. And then I got a comment from, this is from my Christmas Clean and Decorate with Me. Let's see if I'm missing anything first. You know, yarn prepper, can you keep tea after expiration? I would probably say yes. But let's Google that and see what they say. Now, here's the thing. Most of the time, the expiration dates are best by or used by, that kind of thing. Now, just think about this, though. Back in pioneer days, or Little House on the Prairie days, as I always say, when they had tea and that kind of thing, they didn't throw it out. They used it until they used it up. And sometimes they would have it in a little tin for years. If you freeze it, that kind of thing, that can help preserve it. But let's see what it says. If I can, oh, my phone is acting up. There. Sometimes I think this smartphone is smarter than me. Can you use tea after expiration date? Ah. Okay, so here's what it says. It says tea leaves themselves. Tea leaves expire because of storage conditions, getting into contact with air and being exposed to mold, heat, or water. Even though many packaged teas have an expiration date printed on the packaging, properly stored tea will be likely safe to use long after the date. So it sounds like as long as you don't have it, let it come in contact with water, air, or any kind of moisture, that kind of thing, and it's properly packaged, it should be fine. So maybe you shouldn't put it in the freezer. I would have thought if you put it in the freezer, it would be okay, but that's probably not a good idea because that exposes it to, I don't know. But as long as you keep it stored properly, you can use it after the expiration date. That was a good question. I didn't know the answer to it either. So Luann wants to know, will I be doing Michelle wants to know, will I be doing a garden this year? Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I just love getting out and playing in the dirt. And we had such good results last year. I had so many tomatoes and peppers and collard greens and kale and just all kind of good stuff. So yes, I definitely will be doing that. I missed something there. Not sure what you guys are talking about, but that's okay. Oh, that's about the tea. Yeah, that was a good idea to group things for the meal. And the whole idea behind that was, let's say the typical meal preparer falls ill and someone else has to take care of it. Everything's right there and they just can follow the instructions. So that was a good idea. Another test, a great idea for the recipe bag. Thought of that. I wouldn't. It says, come on, Tessa. There you go. If you keep your tea in a tin, it keeps longer. And that's why so many people kept their teas in tins years ago, and they still do. Tea is pretty much like seasoning. You know, it lasts forever as long as it's stored properly. What about tea that is expired and never been opened? Well, you know, I just Googled it, and what it said was if it's been stored properly and not been subjective to moisture, or mold or mildew, it should be fine. So when you open it up, if it looks like it's been kind of matted or sticky or like there's any mold in it, then you want to pitch it. But if it's been stored properly in a tin or something like that, it should be fine. So Carla says she keeps her natural tea leaves that she brings from Jamaica in paper bags, and they keep very long. So that's fine. You know, store them properly as long as they're kept dry. they should do fine. Okay. So my Christmas clean with me. Now this was a positive comment. And so this was from Piano for Pleasure. And she said, such an amazing channel. Oh, thank you. Let me get that off. Such an amazing channel, learning lots of things here, and that I have a positive energy and it's contagious. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I tell you what, I really am trying to be a good example for my young homemakers. I want to be the June Cleaver, the modern day June Cleaver. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to just tell you to Google June Cleaver. There used to be this show on from the 50s called Leave It to Beaver, and the mother's name was June. The family's last name was Cleaver. And she was a stay-at-home mom, that kind of thing, and walked around with the little pearls in her apron and the high heels and all that thing. Well, I want to be the modern day June Cleaver. I want to be a good example for homemaking for today's homemaker. So there's that. So, and I want to be the modern day June Cleaver. Own line of aprons and that kind of thing. So that's on my wish list. It's on my mission board. You know, it's on my vision board for 2021. We'll see what happens, as well as getting my website launched. That's on my vision board too. So that should be happening soon, but I'll let you guys know more about that when it actually comes to do it. Now, this one is also in regard to the Christmas Clean With Me marathon. And it was one of my homemaking stories, which I was kind of showing you some of the things that I do in the day, you know, to make the home. And Fancy Schmancy is the name of that channel. Isn't that an adorable name, Fancy Schmancy? She said video was very peaceful. And she was watching me trying to fill my spice jar, which was one of the things I had done. I had stored some spices in a paper bag, and they had been in there for almost a month, and I was ready to get them out of the bag and put them in a jar. I had put them in the bag so they could dry. And in this particular jar, I was trying to fill it, and I had rolled up some wax paper like this. Let me get this off. Like this. And then I had rolled it up, and I had it like, you know, over the jar, and I was trying to like get the herbs to go into the jar, and half of them was spilling out onto the counter. Now, luckily, I had it sitting on wax paper so that I could just kind of scoop it up and get it in there. But I thought I had more on the counter than I had in the jar. And she suggested that I order a collapsible funnel. And I saw one on Amazon yesterday, and I'm going to get one ordered in. So I thought that's a great idea. So I found that. And then Carolyn Maves, from the same Christmas Clean With Me video. And I was doing part of my cleaning routine, and I think that particular one was my morning routine. And she said that she counts on her routines to keep going in spite of chronic illness. They are a blessing and not a burden. And she compliments me on being a good teacher. So Carolyn, thank you for that. So, and again, my goal is to be a good teacher and example for the young homemakers. And then the routines do help you keep on track. So I've got a routine for what I do just about every day. I do follow the Fly Ladies process. Some days and some weeks better than others. But on Mondays is the weekly home blessing. Then on Tuesdays is the free day. Wednesdays is the desk day, which is the day I clean my out the refrigerator and make a grocery list, pay bills, that kind of thing. Thursday is I go out and get the groceries, except now I'm ordering the groceries, and I ordered them yesterday, and I don't know why I got that off. And Fridays, clean out the car and purse. And then the daily routine includes the daily swish and swipe, where you clean the toilet and the mirrors in the bathroom, wipe down the sinks every day in all the bathrooms, just to kind of keep them presentable. And then you have your zone. So that's typically what I do. So Stephanie, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. So Stephanie says, I'm awesome, loves my channel. I appreciate that. Oh, so now Tessa said, if you get food from Amazon that needs to be kept frozen, they pack it in frozen packs, and then she keeps those in the freezer to use in her ice chest when the need arises. My husband does that too. When we used to do the Healthy Cities Health Fair, we would get in the vaccines and different things like that. You know, we would have them packed in ice and get them transported from the health department, you know, to the clinic. And then the clinic also would get in various meds and things like that that would compact in ice, and they would put those extra coolers out in the lobby in the front of the clinic so people could just take those because they had so many they didn't need them. So my husband would bring home some of those ice packs and put them in his freezer. So then in the summer when he's going fishing, he'd have those extra ice packs to take with him. So yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, thank you, Mimi. I appreciate that. Michelle said she resisted doing routines for many years, but finally she has a cleaning routine that works. Yeah, Michelle, it's like, I wish I had learned about these routines when I was younger. When I was a young mom with 3 kids and just wanting to pull my hair out, and the house was always a mess and, working and all that kind of stuff. I wish I had learned some of those lessons earlier. So hopefully some of the younger homemakers can at least cut off some of the learning process by watching some of the things we more mature moms do. Let's see. Michelle said she keeps those. They're helpful during hurricane season. So yeah. Now Michelle lives in an area where they have hurricanes. We have tornadoes and ice storms out here. Okay. Let's see. Oh, now this one was also from my Christmas clean with me. And in this one, I happen to have on a skirt. And this particular person, Deanna, said that it was nice that I was wearing a skirt, tights, and dress shoes around the house. And you know what? Part of the Fly Lady cleaning process is to dress to shoes. You can choose whatever kind of dress you want, but you should have on shoes and not slippers. And sometimes I will have on slippers. But I also like the Daily Connoisseur. And she talks about being presentable and try to have on presentable clothing. So I try to do that a little bit more now. But it's just more presentable, according to Jennifer Scott at the Daily Connoisseur. So I do feel better when I approach my day and I'm dressed. And then the other thing is this. Where am I going? We're all on, I won't say lockdown, but under these COVID conditions, you're encouraged to stay home and not go out. So I got these clothes in the closet, so I might as well wear them. So, and my husband does like it. Every now and then he'll say, oh, you look really pretty today. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. So there's that. Rhonda Edwards says, keep up the good work. Thank you. She likes my recipes, especially the mac and cheese. Loved it. Thank you. I'm glad you liked that. And May May said she liked the mac and cheese recipe too. Okay. And then Lynette Lyon says she likes my sweet attitude and wanted to know what kind of dishcloths do I like. Well, I really don't have any special dishcloths. I'll tell you what I use most of the time are these. Let me get that off. I use these, and these are just plain old bar mop dish towels. I got them at Target, and when I bought them, I think I bought a couple dozen of them, and they're just bar mop dish towels. They use them like at a bar to like wash the dishes with. And then I got the bar mop dish towels. So these are just a little bit bigger. So they were, I don't know, 14, 18 inches when I got them, and they've shrunk now. And you're probably thinking, well, they're white. Well, that's why I like them, because one of the things about using these is that, and I've got a lot of them, especially I've got more of the dish towels than I do the dishcloths, but then I can use them up. And the thing about the Fly Lady cleaning process is you change your dish towel and your dishcloth every day. So every night before you go to bed, you do your evening routine. You put out fresh dishcloth, fresh dish towel for the next day, and you shine your sink out and you've got your fresh towel out the next day. And then you put your old one or your dirty one in the laundry. And I've got a little bucket that I keep them in. And with them being white, if they get kind of dingy, I can soak them in like the OxyClean White Revive or some Persil or Borax or something like that. So I really try to keep them white. Now, I do have to be careful because the hubby will be washing dishes and he'll just use a towel on anything. Now, that being said, they're cheap enough that I don't get bent out of shape because they're not my good towels. And I have enough that let's say I'm really working on something and I'm having to dry up a lot of stuff, or I'm doing a lot of hand drying, then I can just grab another towel. I could just grab another. I've got enough that, like I said, I can use quite a few and be okay. These are my good dish towels. I buy these at the Grove Collaborative. I don't leave these out for the hubby to get access to as a rule. I keep these put up in the pantry. And now if I have some ladies over and they're helping me wash dishes, I can get these towels out if I need to. If I need to spread a dish towel out on the counter, I can get this one out. And for the most part, I've trained him now. And one of my professors in grad school, she says people are educated, not trained. But I finally trained him not to use these towels on like skillets and stuff like that, because you don't always get all the grease off. And so if he uses one of these towels on the skillet, not a big deal. I can scrub it out, soak them, whatever, and they'll come out. I also have these dish towels. I just got these at Walmart. They're just plain old dish towels. You see a lot of these. A lot of people have them in their kitchens. And they work fine. And I can bleach these or soak these with the other white ones and the color doesn't fade. They're fine. When I grew up at home, we had these little waffle weave dishcloths. I think it's the only one I have in my cabinet. I don't use these as a rule anymore. And then I also will use these coconut scrubber sponges that I get from the Grove Collaborative, or I will use the yellow with the green pad on the back by Scotch, the Scotch brand of those. These are some scouring pads that I get from the Grove Collaborative. So this is what I like to use to wash dishes with. So there's that. Okay, so now let me back up for a second. So Tessa says dressing for yourself is important for morale. It does. I really feel better when I put on something nice, and it doesn't have to be super nice. But I got the clothes in the closet. I might as well wear them. But when I'm wearing a skirt, I do need to have on some kind of tights or hose because it gets chilly here. So I'll have a slip on. If for you young ladies who don't know what a slip is, it's like an underskirt. It's something that's thin and silky, and it goes under your skirt to kind of help block the light so you can't see through the skirt, but it also adds a layer of warmth. Now, the reason why I explained that was because I was helping my granddaughter get dressed once to go somewhere. She must have been about 12 or 13. And I said, well, where's your slip? And she said, what's that? So today's young girls don't wear slips for the most part. So that's why. So Meme says in Houston, they get a lot of flooding. So yeah. So Tessa puts on dress and perfume to amuse her husband. You know what? I put on perfume for me. My husband can't smell very well. So I can put on the whole bottle of perfume. It would take that for him to be able to smell it. So when I put it on, it's for me. But every now and then, when he's just kind of, how they do right there alongside your neck, he'll like, you smell good. So, okay, let's see. Maybe that was TMI. Sorry about that. So Tessa said she likes bar mop dish towels as well. And because you can bleach them. And the other thing is they're so inexpensive. Now, I got these at Target, and they don't have this particular brand with this weave anymore. What they've got now, they've got something similar, and the weave is a little bit tighter, and they work just as well. But I happen to like these, and they've held up for a couple of years. And like I said, I just whiten them to keep them nice and bright. And Libby says bar mop towels are a workhorse. They're great for drying dishes, clean up a spill, and easy to clean with bleach. Oh yeah, I use them for drying dishes, and they're so cheap. And I've got so many, I could just keep grabbing them out of the pantry and use as many as I need to. And then when we're done for the night, I could just throw them all in the wash, and we're good to go. Michelle says she loves bar mops too, and she likes the texture. So yeah, I love the texture of them. Tessa said she solved the problem by forbidding her husband to wash dishes. Girl, you need him to help you wash those dishes sometimes. You just have to teach him how you want it done. That's the thing. You have to teach him what the expectations are. Because if they wash dishes and then you complain about it, then they won't necessarily do it again. But so just kind of teach them, say, honey, use this, honey, that goes here. I still find dishes though where they don't belong. You would think after 20 years in this same house, more than 20 years in this house, he would know where some things are. No, he still doesn't. But Michelle said she barely uses paper towels anymore. She has a bunch of bar mops. Yeah, the bar mops are perfect. So May said she uses towels and a sponge. Can she eliminate one of them? You know, I don't think so. I use the sponge for certain things when I'm scouring out the sink. If I'm scrubbing a pot or a pan, I use that. But sometimes I use the dishcloth for, I don't know. I use them both. So I must not, because I use them both. You'll have to decide for yourself if you can do without one or the other. I use them both. Listen, he will never give away another set of cookware, another cookware, period, unless he gets my express permission. Because trust me, I blessed his soul. I was like, you did what? He said, well, you said I couldn't cook with them anymore. I said, I use them in the oven. Roast chicken, cornbread. He's like, oh. He's so funny sometimes. Carla said she still wears a slip. Well, hey, good. So Yash Heart says hi. Hey, good to have you with us. Yeah, just let him help you. Oh, don't even talk about men not liking to look for things. I have to tell you one day, we can't get into men bashing, but this was just funny. I said, he was looking for something. I just went to the cabinet and handed it to him. I said, it's easier for me just to give it to you than to have you look for it. I said, you men are so helpless sometimes. And you know what he said? He said, well, sometimes maybe we pretend to be helpless so that you will help us. I'm like, oh, really? So now I have to think about that. So then said he uses microfiber cloths from Dollar General. I've got microfiber cloths, and I use those for dusting and when I'm cleaning the mirrors and stuff like that. I've not tried using them for dishes then. So how do you like them for washing dishes? And any of you ladies out there, do you like microfiber cloths for washing dishes? I know Robin at Faith and Flower likes e-cloths, but I've not tried those either. So Yarn Prepper says she has thick cotton tablecloths or shower curtains from Goodwill, makes great absorbent dish towels. Okay. Oh, and you knit your dishcloths. You know what, Yarn Prepper? Now, I used to watch, I haven't watched her in a long time, but At Home with Nikki. That's when I first started, getting into organizing and learning about all that kind of stuff, and even thinking about wanting to have a YouTube channel, because she is just amazing. And she has dishcloths that are crocheted by someone. Someone on Etsy makes those dishcloths for her and sends them to her, or she buys them. So I thought, well, I'm going to order some of those. She has white ones, no less. So I went to the Etsy shop. I was going to order some. Those things were, I think, about $30. I'm like, okay, I am not spending that much money for crochet dishcloths. So needless to say, I don't have any. My mom used to crochet though, and she tried to teach me, and I tried to learn, but I just did not learn that. I guess I was resistant to learning. I wish I had learned that now, but I did not. Take me to Tammy's house. Hey, Tammy, welcome. She's in Alabama. Welcome. You've missed most of the questions. We're just kind of chatting now. We've been having a great time, though. We've been having some great discussion. This is a great group that's on right now. We've been having a lot of fun, and I appreciate it. So, Carla, you said they say microfiber cloth is the best to use for washing dishes, or what? I've not used microfiber cloth for washing dishes. I like these cloths for washing dishes, but I'll have to get some and give that a try. Mary Cleveland says she crochets her dishcloths. Well, I don't know how to crochet, so I'm out of that. But like I said, when I looked at that Etsy shop, they were just a little bit more pricey, just more than I wanted to spend. So I have to check with one of my friends that do crocheting. They're good for washing, but not good for drying. Now, the microfiber cloths are good for washing, but not good for drying, or the crocheted ones. I'm not sure which. Okay, so Tammy says her microfiber cloths for dishes are not absorbent. So they wouldn't be good for drying, but they could be good for washing. Yep, love At Home with Nikki. Yarn Prepper says hers are $4. Their knit crochet ones are too thick. So Yarn Prepper, how do we get some of your dish towels? Give us a little link or something like that, and we can check it out. because I'm open to trying some crochet and dish towels, that kind of thing. And one of the things that I'm learning is to be supportive of other YouTube creators, to if they have something to sell that is of use to me and I think I can afford it or benefit me or I can share it with someone, I'm open to buying it. So drop us a link so we can check those out. $4 I think is reasonable and I might give that a try. And then Cookie Crumb Fun. Hey, you haven't been on with me for a while. Good to have you here. Norwex kitchen towels are the best. I've not tried those, but you know what? I'm open to giving it a try. Like I tell this lady that's helping me with my marketing, like I am not married to any brand. I'm open to trying new things. And I like to try new things so that I can talk about it with my young homemakers. So you guys will give me something new to check out. So, Yarn Prepper, drop your link in here so that we can check out your crochet towels and your crochet dishcloths rather, and I'll check out the Norwex kitchen towels as well. So Michelle says she never uses a dishcloth. She always uses a scrubber sponge. And I almost always use a scrubber sponge when I'm washing dishes, but many times I will use the dishcloth when I'm wiping out the sink or if I'm doing a glass, because the sponges don't always go down in the glass nicely. I don't know. And sometimes for a pot or a pan, like I might wash it out and then dry it with a dish towel. I don't know. I still use them. I use them both. Is there a certain sewing circle at your church or community center? Oh, you know what? There is a community center downtown, but you know what? So many things are closed because of COVID. Our church just started having in church sessions again, but I've not been. I've just been staying in. I am in a quilting guild, which I haven't been to forever, but they use cloth and fabric for different things. So no. Yeah, no. Mm-mm. Oh, Michelle, if you crochet, you should try some dishcloths and see how they work. Okay, so the microfiber dish towels, good for washing, but not good for. Well, Yarn Prepper, you say you only sell word of mouth. Well, okay, well, send me an email so that I can ask to buy something so we can sort that out. I'm going to check out the Norwex Cookie Crumb Fun. Yarn Prepper says she doesn't have a link, but she's Yarn Prepper on Instagram. Oh, Instagram, the bane of my existence. I'll try to figure that out. I am just terrible at trying to do Instagram. I just can't keep up with it. I can't keep up with Instagram and Community Tab and YouTube and all of that. If I get my video up and all that kind of stuff, I'm doing good. But go to Instagram, but I'll try to find you. Gordon Food Service and other restaurant supply stores are open to the public, have giant packs of handy wipes. They last a long time. Yeah, and I used to get those handy wipes. I might use them for cleaning sometime, but I really don't use those. But we've got a Gordon Foods here. It's in the description box. It should be in the description box. Yeah, it should be in the description box, but I set this up on StreamYard, so it may not. I'll put it in the description box once we're done. I don't like to put it in the chat, but I will put it in the description box for you. And you have a YouTube channel. I know that, so I should be able to find yours, if nothing else. Yeah, Tammy said she hasn't been to church. We were talking about that. I do go to the beauty shop, and there's usually the same 4 or 5 ladies there when I go, and there's usually only 2 or 3 because she spreads them out. We have to wear a mask, and but most of us, our churches haven't started up, or they're doing like a parking lot church. You pull your car in, and you have to stay in your car and listen, that kind of thing. Oh, I got to check the collab. Okay, Michelle, I'll go and check. I did look the other day and I didn't see anything new, but I thought we were on top of things, but I will. Do I have Instagram app on my phone? I think, yeah, I do. Yeah, I got an Instagram app on my phone. Yes, and a lot of them are doing virtual services. I've not been doing that though. But yeah, my brother-in-law lives in Delaware. They have a virtual service. Okay, so Yarn Prepper found my Instagram, so she'll send me a note, and then I'll look on there tomorrow because I got to look for some stuff for Michelle and I too. And Cookie Crumb said they're not having church right now either, and her husband is the pastor. Okay. Oh, now this particular comment was from Esther H, and this was from the Christmas cleaning with me as well. And she said that she commented about my husband making a sandwich on the counter. I had just got the kitchen all cleaned up, and then he came in and he made like some kind of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the counter, and then left the stuff on the counter. And so she said that her husband does that a lot. So it happens like that frequently, and she's just patient most of the time. And yeah, he does that. I'm just patient. Now, it depends upon what I need to do, though. Like if I was getting ready to do a video, and let's say I just cleaned everything up, got the kitchen and stove, everything all cleaned up, and I'm all set, and he comes down, well, I'm going to make lunch. I'm like, oh, no, you will not. Not now, you're not. But if he said, well, can I make a sandwich? I'm like, okay, make a sandwich real quick and then get out of here. Because, it's one thing to get everything all cleaned up, get everything ready, and then have someone come in and mess it up. So, but I thought that was kind of cute because she said that happens to her too. Oh, you found my email. Okay, that's even better. Carla said her church has been out for a while. Hello to Mr. Husband Pastor. Her church opened up 25%, but it fills up fast. Okay, so there's that. So, and then the last comment, I'm going to talk about this one. This question is from Wendy, or comment is from Wendy A. And she says, I love your videos, which I appreciate her saying that. She says, I love your videos, and I wish I could be a stay-at-home wife and homemaker like you. And so Wendy, I thank you for that comment. But here's the truth. I'm not perfect now, and I never have been, but I'm better than I used to be. And when I was a young wife and mother, I was home part of the time. When the twins were little, I was home. And then when they started kindergarten, I went back to work. And then when Justin was born, I was home for a couple of years then, because then we had 3 of them. So I was home for a couple of years with them. And then when he started back to school, I went back to work. So I was home off and on. But just trying to stay on top of things and graduate school and keeping the house neat and the kids and all the activities they are having, this was not a neat house at all. And there were things that I've since learned through the Fly Lady method that would have made things so much easier when I was younger. So I encourage you, young mom, to consider checking out the Fly Lady cleaning system. And my favorite one is Fly Lady Cat. I like her approach to it. I'm going to put her name in there. Fly Lady Cat. That's the one that I follow. And she's such a good mentor for learning the Fly Lady cleaning system. So I really like her. So check her out and let her know Denise sent you. But here's the other thing too. And I want to say this for everyone. And I learned this from my YouTube mentor, Sean Cannell. This is something he says. He says, don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. So, people might look at me now and say, oh, you're such a good homemaker and you're such a good housewife. And I am. I'm all of that now. But I'm not in the beginning of this life cycle. I'm in the middle. And if truth be told, I'm closer toward the end than the middle. If you're in the beginning of this marital life cycle or this homemaking life cycle, things are not going to be as neat for you as it can be for me. Now it's just me and the hubby here. And whereas he's messy, he's not as messy as 3 little ones. And whereas he generates enough laundry for a 2-year-old, it's not the same as having 3, 4, and 5-year-olds running around the house, or teenagers and all the other stuff that comes along with having a family. So I can make it look easy now, but trust me, it was not easy when I was living through it and growing through the trenches as a young homemaker. Okay, so now there's that. So Minerva wants to know, what's the best and safe cookware to buy, but it's not overly expensive? Now, that's a good question, and I don't have that answer. I'm loving the Curtis Stone cookware right now. And I think someone, which I can't remember, it might have been Odessa, is saying that it's on sale right now on HSN, and she's thinking about buying it. I bought the Curtis Stone cookware, and I really like it. I do have a link for that in the description box, I think. But Stainless steel cookware is also very nice because there's no particles or anything like that in it to flake off, not like Teflon or anything like that. There's so many different types of cookware that you can buy today that's nice and safe, easy to use, and easy to clean up. So I think you could probably do pretty good with almost anything. Just do a little bit of research and then check read the evaluations, like look at the reviews and see what people say. Check with your girlfriends to see what they have. And, maybe that's one of the things that I'll think about doing another video on. I'll investigate more cookware and I'll try to find, and I don't have a pen. I'll write myself a note in the phone. I'll try to put it on the list to do a video for inexpensive cookware. I'll send it to my sister and she'll be like, huh? But I'm going to put top 3 low-cost cookware. But sometimes if I need to write myself a note, I'll send her a text message and it's in the phone and I can find it later. And she'll be like, what on earth is that? So Minerva, I'm sorry that I don't have an answer for that. But I do like the Curtis Stone. Does anyone else have an answer? Michelle, what kind of cookware do you use? Cookie Crumb, what kind of cookware do you use? Someone else, let her know, what kind of cookware do you use and how well do you like it? Thank you, Cookie. Her name is Claire. Cookie Crumb Fun. Her name is Claire. So Claire, what kind of cookware do you use? And let us know, because we're trying to let Minerva know, what's a good cookware that's low cost. So I let her know what I have. So what else do you guys have? I've also used some of that Cephalon. I think I got it at Macy's. When you catch a good sale, you can get a good price. But you just have to check around. So what do some of you ladies use? And let her know what you're going with. And so Claire, you say you appreciate that I showed how to dry your own herbs. I am so glad I did that. You should see how many jars of herbs that I got. And the sage, oh my goodness, the sage is amazing. And it is so nice to use fresh sage. When I'm cooking and baking and I put some in the soup, I made the best soup. It was a Dr. Oz recipe, and I hope I captured the footage on that. But you use kale and black beans and other stuff. And I used, the kale that I grew in my own yard. I used the sage in it that I grew in my own yard in time. It was amazing. So I'm glad you guys like that, Claire. And I'll do more of that. Since you say you like it, I'll do more of that because I think people do like learning how they can preserve their own things. The hubby just came from downstairs and scared the devil out of me. I didn't hear him come all of a sudden. He was just like right there. So that's why I jumped, if you guys wondered what was going on. Pardon? Neither one. I just wasn't paying attention. So Claire, Cookie Crumb Fun is Claire. And then Michelle says she's learning new stuff all the time and she's 57. Then she says, oh, wait, 56. Well, I am old enough now. I don't even try to say how old it is anymore. Let's see. So Tessa says she thinks you would want to use cookware that doesn't stain or leach into your foods. And remember that one day you'll be older and you'll want to get something you can still lift. Yeah, that's huge too. So I don't buy like Teflon cookware anymore. So with the Curtis Stone, the Dura Diamond coating doesn't scratch off, doesn't leak into your foods or anything like that. So I don't buy Teflon or anything like that anymore. And then the other thing about not wanting anything that's too heavy, because like we talked about this Dutch oven and how heavy it is, and the other one that I took back because it was too heavy. You don't want something that's heavy. And sometimes hubby will, he'll lift the pots and things like that. If I'm doing some canning and I need to lift the pot from one place to another, I try to wait till he's home and he'll come in and help me with that. So Michelle thinks she might have the Cephalon, and Cephalon is very nice. And I think you can buy it in different little pieces. So it doesn't have to always be a big set. You can kind of gradually extend it by buying little pieces. Oh, Fancy Schmancy is on. Hot dog. Fancy Schmancy, I used one of your comments today, and I think you missed it. Let me find it. Let me find it. Oh, that was just too funny that you're on. I'm so glad you are. Hubby's doing the security thing. He's going around putting the alarm on and all that kind of stuff. So Fancy Schmancy, I was doing comments from videos, and I read your comment from the Christmas Clean with Me, where you said that the video was very peaceful. And you talked about me filling the spice jars, and I mentioned that I was spilling more than I got in the jar, and you had suggested that I order a collapsible funnel, and I found one on Amazon, and I'm going to order one tomorrow. So I wanted you to know that. So thank you. And she says that a good place to buy the cookware is TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods. You can find some recognizable brands as well as independent brands, and a lot of it's under $30. And you can just buy a few pieces. And here's the other thing. We don't have to always have this 10 or 12 piece cookware set. You know, I find that probably most of the time you use 2 or 3 key pieces all the time and don't need much of the other. So think about that. Let's see. So where is that? So Michelle says stainless steel cookware all the way. Stainless steel is amazing because there's nothing to scrape off. And Teflon causes cancer. I don't use that Teflon anymore because remember it used to scrape off or leach into people's food. And then, you know, we were eating it. So we don't use that anymore. And then Tessa says she has almost all wooden, nylon, or silicone utensils. And I think I mostly have the nylon silicone utensils, but my whisks are all wire. I've got all wire whisks. I need to get some of those little silicone whisks. I don't have any of those yet, but my other stuff is silicone or wooden spoons, and I have it sitting right beside the stove so that he can grab one when he needs one and not get the wrong thing. Yeah, stay away from Teflon. Stainless cookware, stainless steel cookware. There's a lot of different varieties, but her preference is one that does not have the disc at the bottom and is a multi-clad unit. So, okay, so they're giving you lots of good ideas, Minerva, on different kinds of cookware that you can consider, some of the ones that they have. So Minerva, thank you for all the suggestions. She's going to invest in a cast iron skillet. It's on her wish list. Yeah, put that on your wish list, and then you can let your hubby or your family members know, you know what, on the next big holiday, you know, put this on the list for me. And speaking of that, you should keep a running list in your planner of gifts for you. And I never would have thought of that, but in the planner that I use, it has a list in there of gifts that you're going to buy for other people. And then at the bottom, it says gifts for me. And I think people always say, well, what would you like for your birthday? What would you like for Christmas? And you never have an answer when they ask. But as things pop up, just kind of put that little list somewhere, either in your phone or in your planner. So when someone says, well, what would you like for blah, 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 you can say, well, let me look to see. And you can see what things you've liked over time, because, you know, at the time on the spot, you've probably forgotten. And let me tell you something that I just got that I really like. Gosh, we've been chatting for a while. I didn't mean to do this, but I'm going to tell you this anyway. So my son gave me money for Christmas, and I thanked him for it, and I set it aside. And I thought what I might like to buy with it, but I had been watching this one YouTube creator that I like, and she had shown these new earrings that she had gotten, and it was from a video from a year ago. But and it was, she called them the boyfriend earrings. They're these little small gold hoops. They were beautiful. And I thought, oh, those are beautiful. Then I thought, I can buy those with the money that I got for Christmas. And that's what I did. And they just came in the mail yesterday. They are gorgeous. And I absolutely love them. I have to wear them on a video and let you guys see them. But they're called the boyfriend earrings. And the company that makes them is called Majuri, I think. They're in Toronto, Canada. But they are just so pretty. But when I saw them on her video, I clicked on her affiliate link and I bought them. So that's another thing you guys should have. For those of you that have channels, you know, if you've got affiliate links, you should use them. Libby says carbon steel cookware, you'll need to take care of it. Depending on the type and brand, it's similar to cast iron, but it's lighter. Okay, something to think about. Odessa, Gotham steel cookware, granite, stone seem to be different. So they've got all kind of suggestions here for you. There's all kind of reviews, unboxings, and demonstrations. Cast iron is affordable. What is the funnel? Yeah, it was the funnel. I found a little collapsible one on Amazon, and it was like, I think like $9.99 or something like that for 3 of them, different sizes. So I'm looking forward to getting them. Because I'll have more herbs to dry eventually. And since we're talking about herbs, you ladies and gents, if you do canning, right now is the time to be buying your jars and your lids if you can find them. Last canning season, jars were at a premium. We couldn't find any anywhere. We certainly couldn't find any lids. And then gradually they started to come back out. Well, they're starting to come back out with more jars now. They're not in as high demand because it's not canning season. But come March and April, when the growing seasons start to kick in different places around the country and people start buying those kinds of things again and they start thinking about that again, they might start to get a little bit more scarce. So if you're into canning and you need those kinds of things, or you plan to learn, now is the time to start picking those things up while they're not in demand and they're pretty easy to come by. Lids are still hard to come by, but jars with lids are not. So now's the time to start buying those things. Adrian says, am I prepped for January 20th? You know, Adrian, I hope so. I got all my stuff and that I feel like I need. You know, my husband's done some prepping on his own for some things he feels like the man thing that they need to do. But I'm just praying and hoping that on January 20th, I'm able to watch the inauguration on TV and things go just fine. That's what I'm praying for. Odessa would have a few pieces of stainless steel, and I agree. And I've got some of those. I've got an old set of stainless steel cookware that I had before I bought my Curtis Stone. And as I think back on that, I probably could have just kept that set of cookware, but it was starting to get a little bit kind of bubbled on the bottom and that kind of thing. So here's some other brands. All Clad is a brand that she wanted to tell you about. Michelle sees a 10-piece stainless cookware on Amazon for $68. That's pretty good. Ben says he has a 6 3/4 Instant Pot. Yeah, I've got some Instant Pot, one Instant Pot. I got a 6-quart one that I use. Stephanie found some lids at Target. Oh, okay, Stephanie. I have to check them out. Fancy says she's got 4 all-clad pans, so at Target. So Minerva, you've got lots of different ideas here. And then Stephanie's going to be doing more canning, so she's going to need to find some things. Yeah. So, okay. So my iPad is starting to wear down. I'm getting a little note that my battery is low. So let me share with you guys some plans for the future. I'm going to do more of these prepping shows at least once every couple of weeks to let you know about some of the things that, oh, I didn't even show you the preps I had out. But some of the plans for the show includes more homemaking stories. People really seem to enjoy that Christmas Clean and Cook with Me, where I was doing a bunch of different things that I have to do in the house. So I'm going to do more of those homemaking stories like that. I'm going to do some a 30-minute meal collaboration coming up with Michelle at My Everyday Wife Life. So we got that coming up. And then more meal planning where I prep one day and cook for several days. So I'm going to be doing that. And I'm going to try to do some homemaking shorts. So we'll see how that turns out. And I think that should be it for now. So I appreciate you guys jumping on with me. I only meant to be on for like 30, 45 minutes at the most. And here we've been on here, it seems like for a while, but I've had such a good time chatting with all of you. So thank you very much. If you want to learn more about building a 3-month food supply, click on the link in the description box below or in the comment section, and I'll link some of those videos where I begin my prepper journey. And check on my homemaking videos as well. So thank you guys so much for being here. And then clean up those lids with steel wool. Maybe now the lids, I don't know, the rings you can clean up with steel wool. The lids though, well, you might have to do something different with that. And then Wendy Thomas, new subby. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate your joining my family. I certainly do appreciate that. And Dalit Zoo, hello. And we're about ready to sign off. So sorry about that. And you are quite welcome, Libby. You are quite welcome. I just have fun talking with all of you guys. And look, you know, my daughter is 50,000 miles away in another state. My youngest son's in another state. I have one son here who's got 2 little grams. So it's like, you know what? You guys are becoming some family members now. So I'm enjoying that too. So we've had a good evening, and I think we all better get ready to sign off. And everyone stay safe, stay sane. You know, don't let all the madness drive you totally crazy. I'm just trying to stay safe and stay sane, and, you know, praying to God that things are going to work the best as they should. So I'll see you guys later. Good night.